Ruben West, you have an opportunity to introduce a good friend of both of ours today who is going to be our speaker, and I'm excited about it. Ruben, tell us about who we got today on the show.
Let me tell you who's coming to the show. We've got none other than Sakoni Prince. And so if you don't know Sakoni, you're in for a treat. Here's what I want you to do. Do yourself a favor, invite somebody to the line, because here's what I want you to know about Sakoni Prince. First of all, he's a father. And when I say that, when I talked to him, I remember he said, Ruben, here's one thing that I'm committed to, and that is to making sure that I'm there for my wife and making sure that I'm there for my children. So there's a lot of things that I'm willing to do, but when it comes down to the things I won't do, and that's anything that leaves my wife or my children not supported. And I love that about him. He's a speaker. Obviously, he speaks in various parts of the country, talking to people about, watch this, are you climbing the wrong mountain? Asking them, are you going in the wrong direction in your life? He's an author, more than once, more than twice. That's the way he is. He's working on his next book. And also, Sakoni Prince is a coach. As a matter of fact, if you go to his page, he's probably one of the most consistent speakers and coaches out there, and he's introducing you to yourself. Every single Wednesday, he has his message on his Facebook page. You can go back to his feed and see message after message after message. Why? Because consistency is the key. But if you ask Sakoni Prince, he would tell you, you know what? I just want to be a friend. I just want to help people get to the next level. I just want to make sure that they're going in the right direction. And I just want to let them know that even if they're climbing the wrong mountain, there's still benefits because at least they know how to climb. I'm bringing to the microphone none other than Sakoni Prince. So get your paper out, get your pencil out, get your iPad, notepad, whatever you're going to take note with, and let's listen to none other than Sakoni Prince. Sakoni, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You got the mic.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Good morning, Black CEO Global. Now, notice I didn't say nation. I said global because I know that Black CEOs are not just in this nation. They are around the world. So I want to say good morning to each and every one of you. And I am so excited about delivering this series today, actually today and tomorrow. And the title of the series, if you hadn't seen the graphic, is Getting to Your Last Level. Getting to your last level. Now, what if I told you that you could, at your next level, could be your last level? What if I told you that your next level could be your last level? And no, I'm not being morbid. I'm not talking about dying. I'm not talking about not even growing anymore. But when I say getting to your last level, I mean getting to that place to where a good friend of mine, in fact, Shamir Malley, he oftentimes says that you have unlimited, untapped potential. It's inside of you, not because I say so, but because I know so. And see, when you get to your last level, when you get to that place that you realize that you have more to offer than what you're doing right now, then you can actually operate in a place to where nothing can stop you. Good friend of mine, Terrence Lettis, he says you'll be unstoppable. And once you accept and once you embrace that, you would definitely be unstoppable. I have a point I want to make with you. He says, you see that you have accepted your purpose. Today, I'm going to be talking about waking up in your purpose. Waking up in your purpose. Now, what does that mean? I'm not talking about waking up to it. I'm talking about waking up in it because oftentimes we are in our purpose. In fact, when you know what you have and that you have everything that God has for you, when you want to have and to receive everything that God has for you, then you are at your last level. You spend the rest of your life exploring that level that you're on. In fact, when you stop comparing yourself to where someone else is or to what someone else has, then you are at your last level. When you realize your competition is not external, but your competition is internal. Somebody write that down. My competition is not external. My competition is internal. I want to be better than I was yesterday. That should be all of our goals. I think we spend too much time looking over the fence in somebody else's backyard to see what they have, and we never take an opportunity to do a survey of what we have in and of ourselves. And to me, that is one of the most That is one of the biggest issues that I know a lot of people do. And look, I have an exercise for you. And what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. Now, unless you're driving. If you're driving, keep them open. Because I don't want you to say, Sakona told me to close my eyes and I ran into... No, you're not going to blame that on me. If you're driving, keep your eyes open. But if you are able to close your eyes, and what I want you to do is I want you to survey your life. I want you to look for times when you felt like you were in your element. I want you to look for times when you felt like you were a fish in water. Look for those times when you were serving others and something inside of you whispered, this is it. Something inside of you whispered and said, this is it. This is that thing that you were made for. This is your calling. This is your gifting, and this is your purpose. Now, I want you to take that and I want you to put it in a special place in your mind, because we're going to come back to that a little later. So whatever that thing is, whatever that thing that you provide, that thing that you offer, whatever it is, I want you to take it and I want you to set aside for 1 minute, because we're coming back to it. So don't forget what it is. If you can, write it down. Write down what it is that you just feel so engulfed with. I mean, like while you're doing it, you don't even look at your watch. And actually, when it's over, you're upset. You're mad because you said, it's time to leave. That thing that you do that serves others, take that and put that to the side. I'm reminded of a story of a young man who was foretold to be the future king. And even after being identified as a future king, he went back to doing what he had done before. He didn't rush to move into the palace. He didn't even fight to find a place to park his donkey. So many of us, if we had been told that we were going to be, in fact, the new CEO, we would have started walking around the building. In fact, we would have started looking for the actual parking spot. We would want to go in and check out everything. But this young man, he didn't do any of that. He went back to doing what he, in fact, was doing before. He didn't rush to move into the palace. He didn't do that. What he did was he continued to serve until his appointed time. And one of the reasons that he did that was because he realized just how important what he was going to be doing was. And he realized how woefully unequipped he was. Although he had already been foretold, he realized, I don't have what it takes. But he knew that there was some work that needed to be done. And see, when you find yourself in a place to where you've been unctioned or pushed to a certain position or a certain calling or your purpose, it should make you realize just how important it is. A lot of people wonder why they get butterflies when they get ready to actually do something important. That's because it means something to them. They care about it. They want to make sure that it goes off well. They don't want to just kind of haphazardly go at it and not really care about the outcome. When you care about the outcome of something, you're going to take it seriously and you're going to put in the work. And this young man, he put in the work. He started to spend time studying about the position that he was going to go for. He didn't just drag his feet. He didn't just sit there thinking about all the stuff that he would do. There was an appointed time. The appointed time for him to step into that role, but he didn't want to force it. And a lot of us, we're trying to force things that we are not ready for. We spend so much time, energy, and effort trying to get into places that we are not, and I get this, mentally prepared for. I know a lot of people who have been put in positions, and I guess you could even say, just for an example, the lottery. Those who win the lottery, if you go back and look at them 3, 4, 5 years later, where are they? Yeah, they may have paid off all their bills, but if their mindset hadn't changed, they're not going to be any much better than they were before. In fact, some of them wind up being worse. 3, 4, 5 years later, they're broke, busted and disgusted. Why? Because their mind hadn't gotten to that point. And this young man, he didn't want that to be the case. When we get there, we need to find out, why is it that we've been called to this position? Our pride won't let us ask for help. sometimes. In fact, we just say, well, look, I'm just going to wing it. I'm not going to try to learn. I'm not going to become studious. I'm not going to actually get around somebody that knows more than I am. I'm going to just do what it do. But the problem with that is that we oftentimes fall flat on our face simply because we have not put in the work. And this is one of the major reasons why a lot of people self-sabotage when they get what they say they wanted, because they're not mentally prepared. You know, this young would-be king didn't bum rush his way into the palace, and he knew he was promised it. And yet he didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to get there, trying to force his way. He waited for the appointed time. Somebody write this in your notes. There is an appointed time. There is an appointed time. Now, with that being said, I want to ask you a question. The question is, what do you do while you're waiting? What do you do while you're waiting? While you're waiting to actually fulfill your purpose, to fulfill your calling, your gifting, what do? You put in the work, you do the homework, you perfect your craft and your skill. Let somebody look and find you. They should find you continuing to get better at what you said you were going to do. And that's what this young man did. He spent time learning about etiquette, about who to bow to and who to command. Now, he wasn't in a position, but he spent time. While this young man was waiting, he didn't just daydream about balling and wilding out in the palace. He spent his time preparing for his position. He spent his time doing the homework for what he was soon to be responsible for. In fact, when I say wake up in your purpose, I want you to look at what you're doing as something that is of the utmost importance. In other words, you don't want to mess it up. You don't want to mess up. You realize how important it is. And so many of us, we look at situations in our life and we just tend to not give them the proper weight. You know, we tend to think that okay, look, I'm going to speak at this event, and only 5 people are going to be there. Well, whether it's 5 or 500, it doesn't matter. We need to learn that our purpose is bigger than the number of people that listen to us or that hear us. And believe it or not, it's even bigger than the number of people that we serve. I hate to do this. I really hate to put a story inside a story, but I'm going to get back to our would-be king in a minute. But there was a man. He was a widower. He retired from his job, and he wanted to spend every morning waking up watching the sunrise. Because he and his wife, that's what they love to do. But after she passed, he said, well, look, I'm going to keep this tradition up, but I'm going to move to a coastal community so I can actually watch the sunrise without any sort of distractions. So he moved to this coastal community, and every morning, way up before dawn, he would get up and he would start to take his walk. So as the sun rose, he could watch it rise every morning. That was his routine, day in and day out. Well, one night, this huge tidal wave washed 1,000 or more starfish up on the seashore. So when he got up that morning, when he walked out and looked, he saw all of these starfish washed up on the seashore. But instead of him dismayed, instead of him being in despair, what he did was he walked over to one of the starfish, bent down, picked it up, and threw it back in the ocean. He walked over to another one, bent down, picked it up, and threw it back in the ocean. And he kept doing this over and over and over again. Well, unbeknownst to him, there was a newlywed couple. They had just got married, and they wanted to have their first day of them being married. They wanted to wake up and watch the sunrise as well. So they came out, and they looked, and in the distance, they saw this figure, this man who was doing this ritual motion. He was stooping down, picking a starfish up and throwing it in the sea, stooping down, picking it up and throwing a starfish and throwing it in the sea. And they saw the same thing he saw. And they actually walked up to him and said, what are you doing? What kind of difference are you making with all of these starfish washed up on the seashore? The man looked both of them in the eye and kind of smiled. And what he did was he stooped down, picked up another starfish, and threw it in the sea. And he told him, he said, I made a difference to that one. See, when you understand that your reason for being is not self-serving, and that you are sent to serve others, you will show up. I don't care how many don't get served, you'll serve the ones you were sent to. Now, getting back to our king. Look, I want you to write this down. Make a difference to one. Make a difference to one. So many of us, we're looking for, well, I need 1,000 people to make a difference. I need 2,000. I need 10,000. I need 100,000. Make a difference to one person. And you'll find yourself making a ripple in time that will touch so many others' lives. All right, now back to our main story. You know, this young would-be king realized that even with all the talent that he had, that he couldn't take himself to where he needed to be. He had to put in the work. It's not enough to have talent. Talent is good, but hard work will beat talent when talent won't work hard. So putting in the work, putting in that burning that midnight oil, actually being about that business, focusing on finishing instead of just starting, focusing on what the goal is. And again, I said you have to be able to serve yourself. This young would-be king realized that he had to be patient. And I have a question for you. Are you patient enough to wait? Are you patient enough to wait on your appointed time? But in the process of you waiting, you're not just sitting there twiddling your thumb. You're not just sitting there eating sandwiches. While you're waiting, you should be working. Working to better yourself, working to put yourself in a place to where when you do get to that stage, when you do get to that position, when you do get to that place, it's not hard for you to stay there because you've mentally already moved your mind to the new mountain. Let me stop before I start talking about how you climbed the wrong mountain. Even though he was next to become king, he didn't make any demands on timing. He began to school himself on etiquette to be in that position. He studied the duties associated with the position that he was foretold to be in one day. And if you are to get to your last level, you need to embrace not where you are, but where you're going. Don't just embrace where you are, embrace where you're going. You know, I find it kind of funny sometimes when people say, well, Sakona, why are you dressed up? And I've come up with a couple of pretty cool comebacks. One of them, I tell them, I say I have a photo shoot, so that's why I'm dressed up. You know, I'm going to be, you know, Ebony Man of the Month. Or this one person, they really got to me one day, and I just told them, I said, well, I looked in the closet for the clothes you bought me, and I couldn't find them, so I had to put on what God blessed me with. See, what people don't understand is I'm not dressing for where I am. I'm dressing for where I'm going. I'm going to say that again because somebody missed it. I'm not dressing for where I am. I'm dressing for where I'm going. And not just physically, mentally. We need to dress for where we're going. We need to put on the knowledge and we need to have the work ethic and put in the work for where we're going. Because if you don't do that, when you get there, you won't stay. When you get there, you'll be a one-hit wonder. When you get there, you'll be a fly-by-night person. When you get there, people would say, I remember one time that I forgot it. What was his name again? But see, if you put on the right mindset, if you dress for success mentally, then you won't stay where you are. You will continue to go to where you need to be. And that's what this young man was doing. So many of us won't take the duties that we have and our responsibilities seriously. How many of us would actually take on the duties of a job and you don't have the title? I'm sorry. Did I step on your toes? How many of you would take on the duties of a job and not have the title? See, some of us say, well, I'm not going to do it until you give me the title. Well, the question is, can you do it at all? So if I give you the responsibilities, then let's see if you can handle it before I actually slap the title on you. Because once the title goes on, it's hard to pull that back. And some of us saying, well, if I'm not the manager, if I'm not the task lead, if I'm not the supervisor, then I'm not going to be the one to do those duties. But what you don't realize is that you have a prime opportunity to learn before you even get in a position. You have a chance to get your learner's permit. You have a permission to learn and actually, to be honest, even see if that's what you really want to do. So don't just think to yourself, well, look, because I don't have the title, I'm not going to learn. In fact, the responsibilities, this would-be king didn't do that. He spent time learning what he was going to do once he got in a position. Now, I do have a question for you, and I want you to write this down. And the question is, are you willing to put in the work without the title? Are you willing to learn what's involved before you're sitting in the driver's seat of that new position, whatever it may be? Are you willing to put in that level of work? And that really shows your commitment. I want to talk about, in fact, one of our daughters who's going to school for broadcast journalism. And I told her, I said, sweetheart, you have a smartphone and you have a YouTube channel. Why not do like your daddy does? Every week, just put out a 3-minute video. And I told her, I said, at the end of your school year, at the end of your 4 years of college, you could actually have a body of work that you could point to and say, this is what I've done. Not only are you filling out applications, not only are you trying to get jobs with television stations, but you can say, now, here's my resume, here's my transcript, here are my grades, but oh, wait a minute, go to my YouTube channel and look for the past 3.5 years and see what I've done. You can see how I've grown. You can see how good I've gotten. See, and I told her, if you did that, you would set yourself apart from anybody else that's just coming out of school. You would have gotten over that camera shyness. You would have gotten over, trying to interview somebody. You would have gone through all of that if you put in the work. But so many of us don't want to do the work without the title. We want to wait until there's a check in our name. But I tell you, if you truly understand about getting to your last level, if you truly understand about waking up in your purpose, you'll realize what it is you're supposed to be doing, and you'll put in the work. Now back to our story. This would-be king had a chance to even take out his predecessor. He could have gone in and taken out his predecessor, but he didn't, because he respected the office more than the person. And the person that was trying to keep him from being his successor, this person was. In other words, he was trying to kill him. He was trying to kill the would-be king. Now, some of you by now, some of those who've actually had a chance to go through Sunday school, you kind of know who I'm talking about. And this king was King David. When you know that you have a purpose and what your assignment is, and that you are prepared for it, no one can tell you anything different. You don't just sit back expecting everything to fall into your lap with little to no work on your part. You are going to have to do some mental conditioning. Some mental conditioning. That is what's needed with a lot of us, just getting our mind from employee to CEO. I'm going to say that again because some of y'all missed it. Getting our mind from employee to CEO. And that's one thing that you have to continue to work on. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so appreciative for the Black CEO and for the Black CEO Morning Show and for the Black CEO Tribe. And I hate I missed the conference, but I'll be there next year. But I tell you, one thing that you definitely want to do is you want to mentally condition yourself to be there. Here, look, write this point down. I have to move my mind first. Because where your mind is, your body will follow. I oftentimes tell people that if you're climbing the wrong mountain, in order for you to get to the right one, you have to move your mind to the new mountain. Because if your mind is stuck on the old one, even if you get there, you're not going to stay there. If you move your mind first, your body will follow. I mean, That's just a given. Wherever your mind is, your body's going to follow. Wherever your focus is, your energy goes. So if you're focusing on getting to your last level, if you're focusing on accepting and embracing your purpose, then and only then can you actually say that I'm at my last level. I'm at my last level. You know, earlier I asked you to place that thing, that calling, that purpose, that gift in a special place in your mind. Well, I want you to go and I want you to get that, because we're not going to move it from your mind to your heart. We're going to move your gifting, your calling, or your purpose. You're going to move it from your mind to your heart. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that by identifying the emotions that are invoked when you are fulfilling your purpose. When you wake up in it, when you are doing it. That thing, that fact that your spirit says, this is it. That thing that you find yourself in and you hate to stop. You hate when it's over. That thing. I have a question. How do you feel when you're doing that? How do you feel when you are operating in that? You know, I remember several years ago, I went to a conference, a national conference in Dallas, Texas. And at that time, I had a 3D animation company, and that's what I was doing. And while I was on stage pitching my business, while I was talking about what I did, what happened was I had an epiphany. I realized while I was there, I said, I'm not supposed to be, I said, my words can be used, for more than selling a product or service. My words are supposed to be used to encourage somebody. And I tell people all the time, there are 3 things you can learn by being on the wrong mountain. The first thing you can learn is, this is not it. I can put an X on this because I can scratch this off my list. This is not where I'm supposed to be. But then the second thing is that even being halfway up the wrong mountain, or even being at the top of it, you can see the right one. Even if you're on the wrong mountain, you can see the right one. And while I was up there talking, while I was up there selling my 3D animation company, I wound up realizing, wait a minute, this isn't it. That's where I'm supposed to be. That's the location. That I'm supposed to be encouraging people. I'm supposed to be doing that. And once you've identified the right mountain, the third thing is, it's not going to take you that long to get up it, because you have mountain climbing skills. You've learned some things, even climbing the wrong mountain, that you, guess what, you take with you. But in order for you to get there, you have to move your mind first. And I realized that while I was up there, while I was in my element, while I identified my purpose, when I did that, how did I feel? I felt empowered. I felt like this is where I'm supposed to be. I felt like this is my call and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I felt I didn't have any questions. This was it. But not only did I not have any questions, other people. You see, that's how you know that that thing that you're talking about, that thing that's your purpose and your calling, it doesn't just serve you. It doesn't just make you feel good. Some people swear they can sing up and down, but not everybody else agrees with them. Now, I understand being your biggest fan because I'm my own biggest fan, but even that sometimes can get cut short simply because you're not serving other people. But when you're doing that thing, when you're doing your purpose, when you wake up in your purpose, when you're in it, somebody else is going to benefit from it. Somebody else is going to be in a better place because of what you're doing, because we are sent to serve. We're not sent to be served, but we are sent to serve. So how do other people feel in a thing that you do? What's their response to your gifting? What's their response to your calling? What's their response to your purpose? Are they glad you showed up? Or do they turn and walk away when they see you come in? Are they happy to see you? Or do they start crying? And I'm not talking tears of joy. I mean, they be like, oh Lord, here they go again. Not again. You need to see if your purpose is serving others. And it will, because I'm a firm believer that all of us are here for a reason. If we weren't here, God wouldn't have us here. But we're here for a reason. Look, I want you to write this down. What do you believe it to be? What do you believe that your purpose is? How do you feel when you're operating in your purpose? And how do you make other people feel? Maya Angelou said that people will forget what you say, they'll forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. And this is the reason why I'm talking about feelings, because it's critical. Because your purpose, waking up in your purpose and getting to your last level, it's all about what are you bringing to the table. Are you serving others? Are people's life better because of it? Or are they not being served? Look, your homework for tonight, because we're good, and I can't wait till tomorrow. If you thought today was out the chain, I can't wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow we are going to talk about walking in your power. Because once you know what your purpose is, once you settle that issue, it's not going to be hard for you to walk in your power. And I got some examples tomorrow that are going to blow your mind. I cannot wait. So your homework for tonight is to mentally, emotionally prepare yourself to embrace your purpose. Mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually, explore and embrace your purpose. That thing that you thought about earlier, that thing that you do, that thing that you said was your calling, that thing that while you're doing it, you didn't even look at your watch, that thing that you hate that's over, that thing that serves others, that is a good indication that that's your calling and your gift. And so spending time understanding what that is, embracing it, waking up in it, not to it, because a lot of us, we're already in it, but we just haven't woke up in it, woke up in what we're doing. But once you do that, I tell you, you will find yourself having such a sense of fulfillment and such a sense of peace, because you know you are operating in the vein that you are supposed to be operating in. So have you thought about that today? Have you thought about that area of your life that you work in, that serves other people, that invokes a sense of purpose, that gives you a sense of meaning, that gives you a sense of being? Have you thought about what it is? Have you answered that question? Is this where I'm supposed to be? Is this my right mountain? Because if you haven't, I encourage you now to do that. Spend time finding out what that is. You know, in fact, when I started even my whole series of, climbing the wrong mountain, it was based on a quote by Dr. Miles Monroe. And the quote said that the greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment. I'm going to say that again, just in case for those who are taking notes. The greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment. And when I first read that quote, the first thing that came to my mind was a picture of somebody standing on top of a mountain with their arms outstretched saying, "I did it!" But the caption at the bottom of the picture said, "But you're on the wrong mountain." And so many of us are doing stuff that we were trained to do, as opposed to stuff that we were ordained to do. And even that quote, succeeding at the wrong assignment, it begs to answer, well, who's handing the assignments out? So many of us, we try to pick our own assignments, and then we realize this is not it. This is the wrong mountain. But when you go to your Creator, and when you ask, why am I here? What did you make me for? What's my purpose? He will direct you to look. He said, just look at the stuff you've done. Look at the people you serve. Look at how that made you feel while you were doing it. That's a good indication that is your purpose, serving humanity. Whatever we're called to do has to serve humanity. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Spend time exploring mentally, emotionally, and spiritually what your purpose is. Because tomorrow we're going to talk about walking in your power, and I tell you, I can't wait because, I'm going to hush before I say something I ain't supposed to. But look, listen, I'm telling you, this is going to be a great series, getting to your last level. Because if you ever master this, I guarantee you one thing, your life will never be the same. You'll never have to worry about the person that's sitting next to you. In fact, you'll look at them as an asset. You look at them as someone that, okay, they're good at this, but I'm good at this. See, we don't spend enough time embracing what we're good at and what we've been given and what we've been gifted to do. But once you've accepted that, you look at everybody else as, okay, you may can do this, but I can do that. There's this one friend of mine, I know he's great with numbers. He actually refinanced our church. I don't even want to refinance my own home, but he went through the process of refinancing our church. And I was like, wow, I never could have done it. But see, that's not my calling, it's his. So when I look at him, I can't discredit him or discount him just because I may be able to speak. Because if I had to go through that process, ain't no telling what kind of mortgage our church would have had. But see, when you realize your gift and your calling, you don't have to be intimidated by those people that are around you, those people that are next to you. You don't really have to worry about them. In fact, you can be so secure in yourself that you try to encourage them. You spend time encouraging other folks. Have you ever seen somebody who was just passionate about what they did? Let's say a dancer. I mean, they just dance their heart out, and you watching them, it encourages you. Because you start asking yourself, what am I passionate about? What is my calling? What is that thing that I would do day in and day out? What is it? And my thing is, if once you've identified that and you can build your own personal economy around it, you will never work another day in your life. Once you wake up in your purpose. So again, doing your homework. What is your purpose? And I want you to put that in the feed. I want you to put that in the feed. I want you in the Black CEO Tribe. I want you to put that on the Facebook page. I want you to, what do you believe your purpose to be? What is it? And then once you've identified, you got to come back tomorrow. You have to be here tomorrow. And I want you to call somebody and tell them, say, look, you need to tune in to the Black CEO Morning Show because tomorrow we're going to talk about walking in your power. And be here tomorrow. Bring everybody. Tell everybody, be here tomorrow because I tell you, you definitely got to hear what has to be shared tomorrow. Look, I don't want to go over my time. Barrett, Dr. West, can I keep going? Do I need to answer questions? I mean, what's going on?
We got you, man.
Man, goodness.
Tony's my boy, man. That's my boy. I appreciate you so much, man. You tore it up, and I know tomorrow's going to be better. Y'all hear that energy? He's always like that. He's always excited, man. And you know what? I want to let everybody know, if you have a question for Sakoni, I want you to hit *2 right now. If you have a question or a comment, put *2 in there, then we're going to come to you. We already got people right now that want to talk to you, man. We got people right now that want to talk to you. But what I want to do, I want to go to my girl, Candace Camilla, and let her start it off. Candace.
Oh, my goodness. You know I love the energy. It's how I operate. So thank you. Thank you. Hearing your excitement, about how you get to that last level, how you go through these levels. And one of the things you said was just standing in your power, standing in your purpose, standing in your passion,
Yes,
so
yes.
there's power in those P's, right? And then he talked about, if you get that kind of power, the profits is just going to be easy because it's who you are, what you do, and not worrying about anybody else. But my question to you is this, because a lot of what you said was it was a mindset. And there's some things that you have to do daily in order to stay in that mindset as you walk through your journey and then owning your steps, owning that power where you are, no matter who's around you, to the left or right, in front of you. You got no business looking back. But what are some of the things that you do that actually you create that balance so you can steady walk and climbing these levels? So how do you create balance in your life? Can you give us 3 examples of what we should be doing to prepare for as we climb to our last level?
Well, yes, I can. And one of the things that I definitely do is I look at who I'm serving. I mean, because to me, that is my biggest motivation. Who am I serving? Because sometimes if we're just doing it for ourselves, we be like, man, forget this. I don't feel like doing it today. No. I'm going to take off. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to stop. I'm going to quit. I'm going to push pause. But when you consider who you're serving, my 10-year-old son told me, he said, Dad, I'm proud of you. And I actually turned to butter on the inside because it let me know, Dad, he was watching. So you can't just give up just because it's hard or it's tough. Somebody is looking to you for encouragement. They're looking to you for an example of what it means not to quit. And so I think about, in fact, the people, in fact, that I'm serving. But I also think about who called me to serve. And that is my Heavenly Father. I think about what He gave me, what He put in me. When I consider the investment that called, in fact, when I consider what was put in me, people, they said that the number one fear in the world is public speaking. I tell people I'm afraid not to. I'm afraid not to because I realize the responsibility that's been placed on my shoulders. I realize what I've been given, so I can't stop. I can't quit. And the third thing that, in fact, that I do is I'm constantly working on my craft. So it's not just the people that I serve, and it's not just because of who called me, but I also work on my craft. I spend time, investing, reading, listening, watching, and practicing. So many of us, we have so many things in our mind of how things should go, but until you get on the field, until you get on the court, until you get on the stage, until you do it, you don't know how you're going to react. In your mind, everything plays out smooth, nothing goes wrong, there's no problems. But when you get on the stage, when you get on the field, when you get on the court, and when you start doing it, you start to realize how to make adjustments as you go. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about my coach. He teaches us how to actually think on our feet and how to make adjustments. And so many of us are so rigid to where we don't want to make those sort of adjustments. So, I hope that answers your question.
Well, Coney, I got to say, man, me and you've been friends for a while. And first of all, I want to thank you for what you did there. Now, one thing that people don't know, this man is not just a speaker, he's also an actor. And he does a video each week. Yeah, I'm calling you out. Yeah, he does videos every week and posts them online. I know you said you study your craft. You actually do some of the best, most entertaining, but poignant videos. They touch you because they entertain you, but they grab you and they pull you in. I want to know what prompted you to say, you know what, I want to reach out and do these videos every week. What made you want to do that?
Well, our coach told us, and in fact, my coach is Dr. Ruben West, he told us the importance of us putting ourselves out there. And it's not just enough for you to record yourself and just keep the tape somewhere or just keep it on your phone or keep it on your computer. He said, put it out there because I don't care how good you claim to be. If no one else knows about it, then no one's going to be calling you. No one's going to be trying to get you to come and talk and speak at their events. And so he gave us a mandate to put out a video every week. And I mean 3 to 5 minutes. And I know that most speakers, especially motivational speakers, we are all selling the same chicken. But the question is, how are you preparing it? And one of the things, and I've oftentimes told people, I'm not an actor, but I play one on TV. Because I've actually done a couple of commercials here. I'm not a professional actor, but I actually employed that even in doing my actual videos. Because a lot of people talk about getting up, from being knocked down. Well, I did a theatrical version of that where I pretended to be hit. I fell on the floor, and while I was down there, I talked to myself and I encouraged myself in order to get up and get back in the fight. And see, so many people can say that and they can do a speech on that, but I started thinking to myself, well, how can I do this a little different? How can I set myself apart? And so with stories, with illustrations, and even with theatrics, in order to actually not only educate, but entertain as well. And so if you want to see all of my videos, they're on my YouTube channel. You can search for me on YouTube. And they are on my Facebook channel, but of course you have to go through all of the feeds. But they are there. So, yeah, what what keeps me going, well, like I said before, is the fact of who I'm serving. Because if I knew everybody I was supposed to impact, if I knew their name and phone number, I'll call them up, we're going to have dinner, then I'll be through and I'll be moving on to something else. But since I don't know who they are, I have to keep putting myself out there because I don't know who's waiting on me. And that's what I encourage people. Somebody's waiting on you to show up. They won't hear me. They won't listen to me, but they're waiting on you. And that's my encouragement to the people I talk to. Do what you've been called and given to do, because somebody's waiting for you to bake that cake. Somebody's waiting for you to write that play. Somebody's waiting for you to paint that picture or write that song. Somebody's waiting for you to go on tour. Now, see, you done got me into tomorrow, Bear. But yeah, knowing what your calling is and then operating in it, that's one of the things that really keeps me going in the stuff that I do.
All right.
I love. This is Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, and I love your saying, we all selling the same chicken. That's a great way, to describe that, in many respects, we are having, a similar message or a similar approach, but what makes us unique, is our spices, our preparation, what we do. But I love that analogy.
Right.
A question that I have, is, as we are waiting in the wings, so to speak, and as we are dressing and preparing our minds for where we're going before we actually get there, how do we know that we've actually gotten there? And then, kind of when do you make that transition from merely waiting to be king or queen, but to actually ascending to your throne? How do you know when to make that transition?
You know to make that transition when the responsibility falls in your lap. And what I mean by that is when you are making those decisions, when people are looking to you. And see, that's the thing about serving other folks. There will come a point to where they will start coming to you. They will start calling you, in fact, your phone, as you're doing what you're doing, as you're preparing, as you're in the wings, as you're off stage preparing and doing, there's going to come a time, again, going back to what I said earlier about the appointed time, there's going to come a time to where you'll be called on to sit in that seat. You'll be called on. It's your turn to step up. It's your turn to be next. You'll be called on, and so you will know when the call comes. And that call, I don't have enough time. That call is going to come internally. You will know beyond a shadow of a doubt. No one else will have to convince you. No one else will have to say, you ought to be doing this. You'll be like, yeah, that's all I good at. No. No, you'll be telling other people because it will be inside of you. But until that happens, until that call to step up, until that happens, work on your craft. Work on perfecting it. Work on being the best possible version of yourself. Because that's what's going to be needed for you to operate on your last level. For you to get to that last level, mentally, for you to get there. Now, like I said, once you get to that level, you can still explore that level, but you'll spend the rest of your life on that level. You're not necessarily going to another level. You're just exploring everything on that level because mentally you realize this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so just preparing yourself and waiting for that call because it will come. There's no way. Harvest time will come. You plant a seed, you put in the work, you till the ground, you pick out the weeds, you water, you fertilize it. The day is going to come, but you can't pick it too soon. And you don't want to let it be in there too long and rot. There is a time appointed. And so just waiting for that call and listening for that call, internally listening for it.
So, Tony, what we're going to do is we're going to give you an opportunity to let everybody know how they can get in touch with you right now.
Okay, well, you can go on Facebook and actually search for Ciccone. That's C-I-C-O-N-E, Prince, P-R-I-N-C-E. And that's even my website. And speaking of which, I actually have a free gift for all of those listeners of the Black CEO Morning Show. Go to CicconePrince.com, CICONEPRINCE.com, and you can click on the banner and you can get the free offer, which I actually have an outline of my presentation. The only problem is you're also going to get tomorrow too. So it's going to be some spoilers if you go on and get it today. You can't wait till tomorrow, but you can go on and get it today and actually be prepared. Be prepared, because I know that tomorrow, oh man, I can't wait. Is it tomorrow yet? Can I start tomorrow now? Because I'm telling you, I am so excited about helping people to understand that they can walk in their power. So yeah, in fact, SaconePrince.com. Actually, on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, just search for CICONEPRINCE, and you'll find me everywhere. I've actually Googled myself and searched, so I think I'm the only Sacone Prince out there. So.
Well, all right. So, Dr. Ruben West, I'm going to let you summarize today's show and take us out of here.
Okay, great. Well, let me just say, Sacone, thank you for bringing us the information. And one of the things I love that you said was that we may be climbing the wrong mountain, but the good news is we already have mountain climbing skills. And a lot of times we make the mistake of looking for our next level. But he wants us to look for our last level. And he said, how do you determine the last level? You have to realize something, that a lot of times we're competing. We're in competition, but we're in competition with the wrong person. He said the competition is not external, it's internal, that you're really just competing with yourself, and that if you keep competing, if you stay in the fight, you keep working on yourself, things will happen for you. But your question is when? When are they going to happen for me? And he said, at the appointed time. He said there's a place and time for everything, and it happens at the appointed time. But here's a problem that we face. This really hit home. He said sometimes we don't want to do the work until we get the title. Now, let me be honest with you. Go back and look at you getting a promotion on your job. They look at you, and there's something about your work ethic, the way you show up, the way you handle yourself, the way you treat other people, and say, wait a minute, you're the person for this next level. And oftentimes we have to do that work first. Sometimes we get the temporary position. The old supervisor left, so we're going to have you do this job right now, but you're not going to get the title. And he said one of the ways that you get to that next level is you have to do the work even when you don't have the title. And then he said, don't make this one last mistake. Don't think that your assignment is not big enough. Don't think that the work that you're doing is not reaching enough people. Don't think that the fact that there's not a lot of people calling your name, cheering your name, or seeing you all over the internet or social media, that you're not helping someone. He said, as a matter of fact, just do it for the one. Make a difference to that one person, and it'll ripple in time. And that difference will affect others. This is Ruben West of the Black CEO Morning Show. We're going to be back tomorrow with Sacone Prince as he brings us part 2 of his message. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to count us down and count us out. I'm going to count us down from 5 to 0. When I do it, you're going to say your first name, your last name, where you're from, and then you're going to sign off Black CEO out. Now, to do that, you have to hit *7. So when I start counting down, you hit *7. You're going to say your first name, your last name, where you're from, and Black CEO out. And remember, we only have 10 seconds to get everybody in, so don't wait. Wait, broke the scale. Do it right away. Everybody's doing it together. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ruben West. Bloomington, Illinois.
Brother guys, the same as
Black CEO out.